This is the only way you should be running product. Get rid of all of your Jira stuff. Get out of that nightmare, that fever dream, and make it simple. I'm not getting paid by Notion to make this. I feel like a lot of people do that. That's not me, but I just wanted to share this because I used to make a lot of videos about it. And let's talk about it. So this is using ShapeUp methodology. It's running 6 weeks of net new innovation, 2 weeks of either cool down or bug hunting or planning. And the way that it works is I've set up a bunch of different things in here, and the core of it is you write pitches, which are one-pagers, and it's a research paper about a problem. Always start in the problem space. And each one has a template. So we'll take a look at the template. So you'll read the book called Shape Up. You'll get a lot better. But you narrow the problem or you find the motivation behind what it is that we're doing. Always starts there. Every company ever. Every idea, product, service that you've ever seen started with a problem. The guy that made the dishwasher. Perfect example. Then the second thing, before you write the solution, is a time box or an appetite. It's the amount of time that you're willing to spend to solve for that problem. It flips everything on its head. You do not want to set estimates at the start because that means you're doing a solution. You're trying to figure out everything beforehand, but that's not how it works. And you're wondering why you run past every deadline. It's okay. I'm here to help you. I've dealt with the same problem. That's why I'm so passionate about it. So you say, okay, well, based on this problem, I'm willing to spend 7 days on this. Okay, great. That's going to constrain what the solution is that you write. When you go write the solution, you're not doing tick boxes of a million things because that's what you do when you actually go do the work and you open up the code, you open up the design, you look at the thing. That's the actual work. Doing that now would be stupid. So that's when you write out the solution, probably a couple of paragraphs, and then any rabbit holes. So are there things that are in this project that we know are just gonna suck? If we go down that way, please don't go down that way. But if you go down that way, it's going to be a nightmare. Or maybe someone on the team knows that rabbit hole. They've been there before, and that's their chance to say, hey, I see you going down that path. Let me help you. Out of bounds, you can figure that one out. What are we not touching? And then success criteria. So some things will be squishier than others. Parker, what do you mean by squishy? I mean that you can't track everything. There will be certain pieces of work that you do not have a metric that goes on a scorecard. But if it is possible, then you want to be thinking about that. You write all these things, you spend a bunch of time writing them, and then you end up with this awesome board of problems. And you have everyone in your company figure it out. They figure out the process of writing a pitch. And then you bucket them. So in my case with MAP, we're building a platform that's all-in-one productivity and health software that helps you basically be awesome. And it has a bunch of products within it. So think of the sections of your apps as products, different SKUs, different items. In my case, we have tasks, health, and agent that drives the whole thing that represents your peak self. Notes, calendar. We have general. There will be certain general things like, oh, I need a sidebar that's everywhere. Landing page, infrastructure, and payments. You bucket that, and then you just have these little statuses. So is this an idea? You haven't even thought about it beyond the one-liner? Okay, that's an idea. Needs PM meeting means someone else wrote it, but they don't know enough about it to get technical. They want help shaping the idea up. The whole idea of shaping is you start with this idea, and it's a big piece of marble. And the idea is you need to chip away at it. And you're not coming in with a chainsaw. You're not tearing the thing apart and getting, trying to get super minute, but you're trying to shape it up a little bit with maybe a chisel. And you need a PM for that. And then you have need shaping. So I need to shape a lot of these things because I just haven't thought them all the way through. And that's what that is. And then the pitch complete. So now let's say you want to go and actually do the work. You've planned these things out. You feel good about them. Like this one's pretty obvious. Like I need to make this modal centered. I don't even have to write something. That's pretty obvious. That one's ready. All right, I'm going to bet on that. Well, when I go and if I have a team, which most people do, then I would meet with my team and I'd say, hey guys, me and leadership, me and 2 other people, me and 1 other person, we're going to pick something and we're going to say, this is what we're working on now. Okay, cool. That goes into the build cycle. It's empty right now. When you start a build cycle, you have 6 weeks or 30 days to play around with. And you set the dates. It's 6 weeks. 6 weeks means shipped. You can stick 6 1-weekers in here, 2 3-weekers, 3 2-weekers, split it how you may. But each pitch and the time that you bet on it includes the design, includes the build, includes the testing and the QA and the deployment and all those things. It may not include actually going live because if you are a business and you're rocking and rolling, just because this dev finished this thing doesn't mean that the rest of the org knows about it. There's all these unseen benefits that I hear from people that are adopting this where They're running around with their head cut off because all the engineers, they're not keeping them in the loop and nobody knows what's going on. So one of the best parts about this system is the clarity that it gives to everyone else in the organization. It gives a lot of time for strategic thinking. So even as a solo founder, I fell into the pit of I'm just writing code and I'm going to do it and it's fine. And then you don't have clarity. You get lost. You start going in a different direction because it was not documented. And it's super helpful. It lets people come in and study what is going on. So if they make a request, if they've requested the same thing for a Bitcoin wallet 50 times and they're starting to get upset because it's not coming out, well, guess what? Hey, go and check this out, Bitcoin boy. See how these are more important? And then they understand. And they'll be happy. So that is the pitches and the build cycle. Other things in here, get on a cadence. You don't have to do the whole agile thing of like every single day we stand up and we hold hands, we do planks and all this stuff. No, get rid of that. Get on weekly syncs and retros. Weekly sync, boom, I create a new one. Monday morning, boom, we jump in. Anything come over the weekend that really is bad, that should ruin this cycle? If so, we need to jump on that. Hopefully we don't. And if your team's large enough, you usually have one roaming person that's able to handle anything as it comes in, take it away, or help on the team. So you have a floating engineer, and you only do P0. P0 is defined by, is this blocking revenue? Is this hurting the business right now? Then you jump on it. And then you go through your updates. That's when you're tagging the pitches that are in the cycle. And then you tag the things that we did last week. Each person has a note about it, maybe. Sorry, so updates would be like, hey, this is what's going on this week. Whoever's running this meeting, we have this event, we have this call, this thing's happening. What did we do last week? You're tagging the pitches from last week, talking about them. Yeah, we nailed it. What are we doing this week? Hey, John, do we have any issues here? Do we need you to meet with XYZ? Cool. Any blockers? Hey, we just heard from Stripe, and because we're doing Bitcoin, they don't like us, and we got to switch. That would be a blocker. And then any action items. Like, hey, set the meeting. So that's the weekly sync. And then that takes 15 minutes max. And that's awesome because devs hate meetings. And the people running them hate them too. And then retrospectives. This is the end of the week. And it doesn't have to be cheesy. It can be tolerable. And the way that you do it is what went well, what sucked, and what are you looking forward to? You can give them funny names, whatever. But typically you have this and then you set the date for it. And people can just add their own points. And then you go around. And you say, hey, John, what sucked? Okay, I hear you. Sounds good. Let's change it. Let's not do that next time. And that's typically based on the team size, maybe 30 minutes. And other stuff in here, this talks more about the actual shape up stuff. So you create the one pager, you set time with the PM, you do the technical spec, you have the leadership review them and bet on them, and then you announce that to the company. So we're kicking off a new pitch cycle next week. We say, boom, hey everybody, this is what we're doing. And you tag the people that wrote the pitches so they get credit. People feel good about that. They know, hey, my ideas matter, and that matters. You get happier people, retention goes up, morale goes up, and everyone's a part of it. And also the people that are in the field, people that are talking to customers know a lot more than you'd think. And then the work gets done, and you want to make sure that you're tracking everything as well. So if you're launching something, make sure you're tracking it because we need to see those stats. And then if you have a big team with a lot of people involved, then before you actually go and launch the thing, in your retrospective or your weekly kickoff, you also have the person that is typically like a project manager or someone that handles the rollout. So if you have like a sales guy, sales team, marketing team, all these people, they need to get a doc that explains, hey, we're launching a Bitcoin wallet. And they get all the information about it. And then that person goes and meets with all the parties who already knew that this was coming. And they're getting confirmation that, hey, this is how it works. Here's the FAQs. Here's a video demo, all the assets in one Notion. And then they decide with that project manager after he meets with all the parties, what's the date we're going for. So they've known it's coming for 6 weeks. Now they hear, hey, it's here. We did it. This is how it looks. The person that made the pitch is like thrilled. And then they get the date. And then the team says, okay, cool, we're launching on this date. Everyone, loves it. Crowd goes wild. And that is how it works. I already talked about the bugs when stuff comes up. And anything else in here. This one's a work in progress. But this is how I used to do it, where you have an engineering wiki. And time to productivity sucks with new hires. Engineers are expensive. You want to get them productive fast. The fastest way to do that is anytime that you do something that someone in the future is going to have to do, just start yapping at your computer. Use dictation, go in one of these notes and explain the thing that you just did. Make a new page, ask AI to clean it up, and you're done. That's it. Literally. Eventually, this turns into a shell script that a new dev runs. So you don't have that whole thing where you're like holding their hand and you're like, oh, like your dev environment doesn't work. No, you don't want that either. Not now, maybe later. This is what it sounds like. A pitch gets written. People had so much effort put into this, but it's not making it. And then it goes in there. Example pitches. There's some in there. Cooldown. This is the period of time between the new work, between the build cycles. So these are like refactors. These are the things that devs write that no one in leadership's ever going to pick. Stick them there. So when you're in the cooldown, you're hammering bugs and then you're picking things off like, hey, we want to switch to Vite. Hey, we want to refactor these. This service sucks. Let's move from this cloud to that cloud. Report tracker. Parker, why are you using it in Notion? Well, because it's a non-technical platform and everyone can use it. Try to teach Janet from marketing how to use Linear. That's going to be the biggest waste of your time. She's going to hate you. Everyone's going to hate you. You stick it in here. You try to convince them to write some notes in there about, you know, hey, how did it happen? What were you using? They probably won't. This is totally not in the right order, but you can see that you have a similar pattern here. Like, oh, needs shaping. This means we don't have enough details on how this thing works. We have in progress so people can know what's up. We have ready for engineering. That's actually first. So you have need shaping is like the unshaped idea. It still needs info. You can tag the person and say, hey, we need more info. Maybe a demo. Ready for engineering means cool, this is ready to pick off. In progress, obvious. Live in dev, obvious. Can't reproduce, obvious. Waiting confirmation, that means, hey, we shipped this thing. Can you just double check that everything's good on your machine? It's always gonna work, hopefully. But you want to, again, it's like those touch points matter. You're trying to get everybody in the company to love you. And then you have completed and rolled out. And it's empty right now because math's perfect. Design tracker, boom. Same thing. When you're working with a designer, pop it in there. There's going to be some revisions. You go back and you basically just go back and forth between revision, review, revision, review. Competition, take every screenshot you've ever taken and jam it in there. So when you're designing stuff, you're not starting from scratch. Design inspiration, I just have that page for myself because I have a bunch of landing pages that I want to rip. Meeting schedule, this talks about what we already talked about. So sprint kickoffs, sprint planning. Well, no, this is actually retro. Retro. Daily check-ins. This is using a Slack workflow. Basically, by 10 a.m., let people know what's up. What are you doing? It's not to be annoying. It's for everyone on the team. Don't be so full of yourself. And that is the video, everybody. If this was helpful, make sure you like the video. I'll put the template below and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.